15th, we have the next iteration and standalone expansion to the Marvel United universe, which is Marvel United Multiverse. And this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 40 minutes to play. And if you haven't played this game before, you're going to be putting together a team of 4 heroes, randomizing a bunch of location tiles where you'll be able to perform different actions, and then you're also going to be choosing an enemy and that enemy's master plan. And you'll be able to mix and match all of these to create almost an endless amount of different scenarios. But what this is going to be adding new to the game is all sorts of different villains across the entire multiverse, as well as different heroes that players will be able to incorporate into their Marvel United experience. But this isn't just an expansion on characters, because you'll also be able to include the newly added equipment cards, which either start with your character at the start of the game or you'll acquire throughout the game, which will allow you to feel more like the character that you're playing in the game. Because if you're playing as one of the many Spider-Mans, you'll be able to use your web slinger, or if you are playing as one of the many Thors, you'll be able to throw your hammer. There's also an improved solo mode added to the game where you can play as a single character, and then the other characters are acting more as a support role, so you don't have to control all the characters individually. But of course, when expanding into the multiverse, there's going to be some pretty epic opponents, and this expansion will include Galactus into the game, as well as his 4 heralds. And these 4 heralds can be played with Galactus or played individually as their own enemies. The interesting thing about playing with Galactus is that he's not going to jump around the different tiles out on the board. Instead, he's going to be remaining in the center of the board, rotating and influencing the locations that he's looking at. And if you're a fan of the many miniatures from the previous campaigns and how they incorporated the fire, water, and ice effects into the miniatures by using that clear resin, there are going to be more miniatures introduced featuring those really cool effects, and of course these 4 heralds are one of them. One other thing I wanted to mention, because if you are interested in this campaign, you're probably going to be interested in this, and that's that they're also going to be releasing a Spider-Geddon set that's going to be going straight to retail, so this won't be available in the campaign, but you can look forward to it coming out sometime this year to your local retailer. And that's pretty much everything I have for you regarding this campaign, but if you want to know more about how it plays or some of the previous offerings, I did cover this back when they did their X-Men campaign, and I'll just go ahead and roll that footage for you now. Players must complete 2 out of the 3 missions before they can attack the villain, and each villain plays very different from each other and has their own master plan deck that wins them the game if it's ever completed. Players will each play their own hero with their own hero deck, and on their turn they get to play a card which allows them to perform actions based on the icons visible on the card they played and the card that was played by the player before them. This adds another neat layer of cooperation since the card you play will affect the player after you. The Marvel United X-Men makes a few changes to the game. First, it increases the player count by making the villain a playable character. This change also introduces the supervillain and superhero cards, which each have their own trigger conditions and can interfere with other players' turns. Anti-hero characters are also being added to the game, which come with both their own villain master plan deck and a hero deck. We've seen this before with Venom in the previous release, but it looks like CMON wanted to expand on this idea, and they're now going to be focusing on adding a lot more characters that have that ability.